So hello everyone, so thanks for joining this class. And today's practice, we're going to be understanding and experiencing what is the state of balance. So how can we be balanced through balance? And if you see what being balanced means, let's say if I have to go to my office and I have to work, and then I start to feel a certain kind of disturbance because there is a lot of demands coming to me. My boss is pouring out a lot of things that has to be done with a certain deadline. If I'm having a conflict with my relationship with my girlfriend, or if I have a difficult situation with my parents. So all those situations are starting to create a state in which we are not balanced, meaning our minds is not stable. There is no stability, there is no stillness. So to be balanced, it means, even in Sanskrit, we use this terminology called sthiti pragnatva, which means equanimity of the mind. So as we are interacting in life, in different situations, to what extent can we be balanced? So as we said that, so what would be, how can we actually adopt that on our mat? And through that we have this concept which you can call balance or yogic balance or expressive balance. They all means the same thing. And it's interesting to understand that I can only balance if I'm conscious. If my body is dead, there is no possibility to balance in tree posture or in trikonasana or in balancing one hand and arm stand, because there is no consciousness. In the same way, if my state of the mind is affected, if I'm drunk, if you see drunk people, they are always like bumping into other people, because their state of mind, that awareness, is not balanced. So in the same way, so balance, it brings a very, very important concept, which is this self-reflection. And just in a few lines, because that's a big concept, but we're going to be exploring other videos. So self-reflection is how can we start knowing ourselves as we are in this mirror of nature. So let's say if I'm in a job and I have like a stressful situation, so that situation is bringing this mirror of, okay, I carry myself worry, I carry myself anxiety. In the same way, to the higher states of self-reflection, we start to knowing ourselves beyond any forms and shapes that brings self-awareness. That's the link between balance and spirituality, because spirituality means knowing ourselves at the core, which has no form, no shape. So balance has to bring this dimension of self-reflection in which we are more and more understanding ourselves. As we are more understanding ourselves, so naturally not going to be affected by the outside, because we know that the core, which is that peace, that contentment, is not affected by situations, it's just our mind conditions. So through that, we're going to be starting our today's practice from this concept of how can we be balanced and how we're going to be practically putting that on our mat. So we can just start now with a Om chant, and you just can close the eyes and place the hands in Chi Mudra. Back straight. And you can slowly open your eyes. And you can start into rising up. And we're going to start with just some preparation before our asana practice. So you can just open the feet a little bit wider than shoulder width. Arms in line, your shoulder height. And now as you're keeping the equal weight in both feet, so you are balancing left and right, with exhalation you can start making a side leaning and look into the upper hand. Inhale, center. Exhale to the other side. Inhale, center. exhale to the other side. And always, as you're making this forward fold, just make sure you have the equal weight in both feet. So you're bringing this state of balancing left and right by equal distribution of weight in both feet. And you can come into the center. And now you can bring the arms in line with the ears. And you can rise up the heels off the floor. And with exhalation, making a twist, involving the necks. Inhalation coming to the center. And now trying to bring this stability in your balance. Huh? So your balance is stable and try not to force, not to create any holdings. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, twist, inhale center, exhale, lower the arms. And now you can just now bring the arms in line with the ears with inhalation, and with exhalation, a slightly forward fold just to the point that you feel that there is alignment of the sitting bones with the heels. And keeping the back straight. So you're not going all the way, and then my back starts to get round, just to the point my back is straight. And with inhalation, I come up, and I place my hands on lower back, and then with inhalation, extending a little bit backward, chin up, center, inhale, arms in line with the ears, exhalation, forward fold, inhale, center, lower the arms, placing the hands on my lower back, and with inhalation, extending my spine up and back, and exhalation, I can start in coming to the top of the mat, and I'm going to start with the sun salutations. And you can now bring both arms in line with the body, equal weight in both feet. So as you're balanced, both weights, left and right, heels, toes, and you're feeling the position of your body that brings more lightness. So when we say balance, we also bring this concept of how can you be more and more light. So if you're more and more light, there's less feeling of I am this body. Again, the self-reflection that leads to this infiniteness of the consciousness. How much can you be infinite in your expressions? More you are in the dimension of yogic balance, expressive balance. Then with your next inhalation, bring both hands in a Namaskar in front of the chest. And just exhale there. And following the inhalation, you can sink at the knees, hips to the front, arms up, synchronizing all these movements in one single expression. And you just as you're moving all the way back, see how equally is the distribution of weight in both feet. And now keeping that equal distribution of weight in both feet and trying to create a body expression where you feel light, you start making a forward fold. So that you bring your hands in line with the fingers in line with the toes, and your spine is straight so you can bend the knees if necessary. Then with the next inhalation, you can start now stepping back, and you can place now the hands in front of the chest, and the step back was with the left leg. So that's Ashwachansalasana, finding your position in which you have the equal distribution of weight and hands in the front foot, knee, and toes. And with exhalation, lifting up the knee, placing the hands on the ground, and stepping back in Parvatasana. So Parvanasana, downward facing dog, feet close to each other. And now I would like you to really keenly observe the equal distribution of weight as far as possible in the hands and the feet, so that, and through that, you're not pressing. It's like if you're feeling that your hands are working more to sustain the posture, trying to bring a full body awareness in which you can adjust other body parts so that you dissolve, minimizing the heaviness or the pressing of the hands against your mat. So as far as possible, hands and feet and toes equally distribution of weight. And now, keenly observe that you're gonna make in this journey, even though you're gonna feel a little bit more heavy in the beginning, that's perfectly fine. But you're going making this journey until Astanga Pranipadasana, 8 limbs, by placing the knee, chest, and chin in that mode of equal distribution of weight. And as you land, keeping the activeness of your hips so that that weight distribution is being established. As you have these 8 points on the ground, meaning toes, knees, chest, hands, and chin. With your next inhalation, extending in Cobra, Bhujangasana. Not by pressing the hands with the floor. Every time you press, then we start to condense. Expressive balance is expansion. Exhalation, starting now, bring the sitting bones towards the heels in Shashankasana, having the hands in the same position. So you're extending, having the stretch on your lower back, on your back, by having the hands in the same position, and you can have the sitting bones not touching the heels. More important to have the hands in the same position. Then with inhalation, starting coming to the front, lifting up the knee, full body up, and you're making a back bending in upward facing dog. And that's important that your heels are in line with the toes, so that you keep this activeness of your hips. So nothing is actually being passive. If you're passive, you're going to feel more heavy. If you feel more heavy, then less that lightness, less that balance. And then self-reflection is compressed, then you're feeling yourself through this body feeling. Then with the next exhalation, starting to rising up the hips and coming back into Parvatasana, maximizing full body expression, minimizing pressing of the hands. Then with your next inhalation, step to the front with the left leg without jerks, and you can place the foot wherever it goes, and then you can crawl with your foot to bring the toes and the fingers in the same line. Hands in Namaskarasana in front of the chest. Exhalation, lifting up the knee, step to the front. Padahastasana, observing that the back is straight. Inhalation, sending the arms in line with the ears and starting to rising up. Slightly back bending, sink of the knees. And now observing now the movements of the hands that come into the chest, hips going back, knees straight, making one single expression. So there is no difference between this and that. And as you inhale, just release the hands in Namaskarasana. And just making the stop in Sthiti. Just normalize. You can maybe close the eyes. Just feeling this state of the mind in presence. That state of the mind in presence means you are balanced. And now we're going again for the second sun salutation. As exhalation happens, bring both hands in Namaskarasana in front of the chest. Inhalation, sink the knees, hips to the front, arms up. Observing the equal weight in both feet, the feeling of lightness. With exhalation, start making a forward fold, keeping this activeness of your upper body so that you're not carried by gravity. Then with inhalation, stepping back, now with the right leg, hands in Namaskarasana in front of the chest. Balancing the weight in all body parts that's touching the ground. Knowing your position, do not create any holdings. Holdings means particularity, grossness. To that extent, our mind is confined. Exhalation, placing the hands on the ground, moving to Parvatasana. And as you move into Parvatasana, balancing the hands and the feet. And again, you go in the same way. And first, now as you exhale, you move into plank and come into that equal distribution of the weight in hands and feet. And as now exhalation happens, keeping that same distribution, placing the knee, chest, and chin, even though it's a little bit more heavy, that will support your self-expression because your body is not becoming passive. And you can feel that when you touch the ground, if you keep this strength, you're not going to feel that heaviness. It may be a little bit more forcing, but with time it becomes more subtle. Inhalation, extending cobra. Exhalation, maximizing the strength of the knees and toes, coming back into Shashankasana. Hands in the same position. And feel that the full hands are touching the ground, equally, each part touching the ground, so that there's the proper alignment of the shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Then inhalation, starting coming to the front. Again, balancing the hands and the feet as you lift up the knees, so that your full body, the hands and the feet are very balanced. There's this uniformity of involvement from the toes until the top of your head. That brings this uniformity, it brings automatically this expressive balance. Exhalation, coming back into Parvatasana. Inhalation, step to the front. With the right, no jerks. Exhalation. Inhalation, rising up. Exhalation, hands in Namaskara in front of the chest. Knees stretched. And you can release the arms, just coming into Sthiti. And just cultivating this pause, in presence, in balance. And our first posture, we're going to be exploring this, how to develop the self-awareness, self-reflection, or self-awareness through self-reflection in the posture. So you're going to use that three posture. So as you exhale, you're going to be lifting up the right foot without any support of the hands, just as much as it goes. And you just starting out observing if you're squeezing something. Squeezing the toes or tensing, trying to be as far as possible stable, but not at the cost of creating tension, which will condensate your self-expression. If you're tensing something, naturally feel more restricted. Now, as you inhale, bring the hands in Namaskara in front of the chest, or you can bring the hands also all the way up to the head, as you wish. And find now a posture that you can start to have a certain stability. And just bringing this pleasant presence. And more, you're not doing the posture. Allow this presence to be totally in the availability of this moment. So that brings the expansion of your awareness. Expansion of your awareness. In that expansion of your awareness, we started to making this alignment with our core of our being. And if you fall, it's perfectly fine, just come back. And now in that, you can just slowly starting to slightly closing the eyes, but halfway, not full way. Because we creating dependencies from the outside to be balanced. That self-awareness will come not because we are using our senses to know our positioning, but from our, we can say, intuition, that self-awareness. And slowly you can come out. So you see, we're just now trying to catch the state of balance in which is not dependent on anything. Not depending on my hands that pulls my leg up. Not depending because I see something and I know how can I balance. Not because I'm tensing or creating any holdings. That's the link. That's how we're starting to knowing ourselves. And now you can go for your own self-practice. in the same approach, independence way, as you lift up the foot, observing that you're not squeezing the toes, that you're not pressing the hands, and having the eyes first open, and just to be in this dimension that you are aware with all the things around you, and you're just feeling your presence. That easiness, it comes with easiness. And you half close your eyes, trying to feel your own being. And if you fall, it's perfectly fine. And then if you feel comfortable, you can close totally your eyes. So you can go in steps. Huh? And if you're still in the posture, you can start into moving out. And now we see that to be balanced, it's important that we have this lightness. And how can we bring in lightness when our bodies feels already heavy? Because we carry tensions, uh, lack of stretch, misalignment, and all these things will naturally bring some kind of heaviness. So now we're gonna again be in this dimension of developing that self-reflection capacity to making this distribution of weight as we're gonna be exploring how I move from Virabhadrasana B to Virabhadrasana C. So you can come in on top of the mat. I'll give you the instructions moment to moment. But now it's going to be a little bit more physical dimension so that you can also approach holistically the practice. So if your next inhalation, you can starting now, making a step and back with the right leg, big step back, arm shoulder height. Not so big actually, because you're going to be stepping to the front, but you can look at me, how I'm placing my foot. And then with exhalation, I starting now to sink in my whole body. So it's not a jerk of my knee. It's really this full body awareness, and with that, my whole body is sinking. And I keep the equal distribution of weight in both feet. So through that, I can maybe need to align my hips, so that also any heaviness I feel in a particular body part, through adjustments and alignments, I start to bring more easiness. Then with exhalation, now I'm starting to bring my front hand, my back hand towards my front hand, and I'm starting to rotate my hips so that my hips are coming to like parallel to the front. If I needed to lift up my heel, back heel. And now I'm just observing how the weight is being created as I'm starting making a forward fold. Very gently, very slowly. Every time I feel more heaviness on my feet, my front foot, I try to adjust my body. So through alignment and adjustment, I'm going more and more using my self-reflection ability to make this weightlessness or distribution of weight. And I can start now lifting up my back heel. And I can start now just balance on my front foot. And any heaviness I feel in my front leg, I can always make some light adjustments to minimizing this effort. The leg that's up is expressive, it's not passive. If it's passive, it will create some heaviness naturally. My hips are aligned. And as far as possible, observing the tensions and just releasing the tensions. And anytime if you come back, just come back naturally. And slowly you can place now the back foot on the ground. And the same way we came in, we're starting to come out. As we're placing in sthiti. And just allowing any sensations, anything to normalize. And now you're going on the other side in your self-practice. So with your next, I'll give you the guidance. With your next inhalation, stepping back now with the left. So not too big step. Exhalation, sink the whole body, not jerk off the knee. so that you keep that full body awareness and involvement. Exhalation, bringing now the back hand, arm to the front. As I turn a little bit my hips, I start to see if my front leg starts to get more heavy. The solve through adjustment. And I starting now moving towards the front. In observing, and now as I'm just starting to lift up, I start to observe that my upper body and my back leg they are balancing their expressions like a scale. And I'm balancing also my upper body with my back leg, meaning my upper body is not like being a heaviness, it's upward, it's active. So I'm balancing dualities. And anytime you have you feel to move out, you can always also take a different position of your arms if you feel that the arms becomes heavy. And slowly you can start into coming back. And you can take a position in sitting. And just making a small pause. And now we're going for our next posture, and you're going to observe now that we said that the expressive balance brings the state of weightlessness, which means that we are not feeling the body, or less feeling of the body, more our lightness is expressed, more the mind becomes more free, more this alignment with consciousness. So how can we express that now? By understanding dependencies and holdings. So the next posture is going to be Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. And with exhalation, you can lift up the right knee, foot off the ground, and you can hold the big toe with the index and the big finger. And with your next inhalation, you can start to extend the knee just to the point that you feel there is not needed too much to carry the whole weight of your leg. It can be any position, but the understanding is I'm not creating holdings, I'm not creating dependencies. And my arm, right arm, left arm is up, so that I'm now in this dimension of minimizing dependencies, one part supporting the other, and not creating tensions, or minimizing, keenly observing my toes, the legs, my back up to the back. So I'm creating this independence, expressive, not bounded, which brings that subtleness. So that brings expressive balance. And slowly you can come back. And now we go into the other side. So now lifting up the left foot, holding the big toe. And with inhalation, extending the leg and rising up the arm. And observing that I'm not leaning to the back. I'm not tensing my fingers. My leg is as far as possible independent. And see also how I'm gazing. And slowly you can come back. And very nice, you can take now a sitting position with the legs crossed. Hands in Chin Mudra. So today we started to make this journey of understanding how to develop this self-reflection in practice postures. How can we create this expressive yogic balance, which brings that possibility of being weightless. So more I can feel my presence without the medium or the restrictions of the body, more expansion of my awareness, that higher state of self-reflection are developed, knowing the self. And by knowing ourselves, then we know that that part which is non-affected, and then we can carry that into our daily lives. So thanks for watching, thanks for participating of the class, and I see you in the next videos in the next class, and have a very nice day and enjoy. Namaste. Yeah, so you came all the way this far. You're listening to this right now. It means you did the whole self practice. So it was really, really nice to see that you came all the way to the end and devoted this time for your own self. And if you feel that someone can also benefit from these teachings, please don't hesitate to share. And if you want to support the channel so the channel can have more visibility and other people can get exposed also to this knowledge, if you can hit a like, leave a comment, so we can also evolve together in this